From Nothing to Legend. How a broke Japanese boy built Honda against all odds. In a world where dreams are often snuffed out before they take flight, the tale of a broke Japanese boy who dared to challenge the impossible comes alive. Picture it. A kid, barely making ends meet in post-war Japan, with a heart full of ambition and a head buzzing with ideas. He didn't just want to build machines, he wanted to create a legacy. This isn't just any story, it's the birth of a titan, the roar of the first motorcycle engine, and the whisper of destiny calling. It all started in a town filled with the remnants of a broken past. The air was thick with smoke and uncertainty. But in the middle of the chaos, the whispers of hope floated like dandelion seeds, waiting for someone to catch hold. This boy, born into poverty, woke up each morning in a creaky old house that seemed to sigh under the weight of his dreams. He was surrounded by friends with empty pockets and heavy hearts, but none of that stopped him. Each day, he scavenged scrap metal, searching not just for materials but for a piece of the future he envisioned. But here's where it gets strange. A local factory owned by a mysterious man suddenly closed down, leaving behind a treasure trove of abandoned mechanical parts. Was it luck or fate? As he crept through the shadows of the forgotten factory, he felt a shiver down his spine. It was as if the rusted engines were whispering secrets from the past. The boy felt an electric buzz of inspiration, urging him to build something extraordinary. He knew in that moment that he could turn scraps into something that roared to life. Tension hung in the air as his plans began to take shape. Friends urged him to follow the safe path, secure a job, earn a salary, but the boy's heart was set on speed and freedom. What if he failed? What if he succeeded? And just when he thought he could dive into his dream, a strange encounter changed everything. An old man, seemingly out of nowhere, appeared in front of him with a knowing smile and a glint in his eye. "Be careful where you tread," he said, the words hanging ominously in the air. "Your path is fraught with danger and glory." Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With newfound energy, the boy made a choice. He would chase his dreams harder than ever. Each day, he toiled to create a motorcycle, mixing hope and audacity into every screw, every bolt. But the old man's warning echoed in his mind. Would he face betrayal from the very people who should support him? Would society embrace a dreamer or crush his spirit? Just as he thought he could see the finish line, a dark shadow loomed over his workshop, raising the stakes to unimaginable heights. What would happen next? Would he conquer this challenge or be left holding nothing but shattered dreams? As he faced the darkness, one thing was clear. The ride was only just beginning. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a silver glow that slashed through the darkness surrounding the boy's workshop. The shadows stirred, alive with the weight of his unspoken fears. The air was thick with tension, a foreboding that tugged at his gut as he focused on the pile of metal before him. This was not just scrap. It was his lifeline, a bridge to a future he could barely imagine. His heart raced as he worked, hands trembling not just with excitement but the gnawing anxiety of what loomed outside. What did the old man mean? Danger? Glory? The words echoed in his mind, gnawing at his resolve. As he tightened a bolt, the wrench slipped, cutting into his palm. He winced but pressed on, refusing to let pain derail his ambition. Each drop of blood that fell to the floor was a reminder that he was fighting for something greater: freedom, self-worth, and maybe, just maybe, a taste of success. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps drew his attention. Heavy and deliberate, they echoed in the silence, a stark contrast to the symphony of hope he was trying to create. His breath hitched. He scanned the dimly lit workshop, eyes darting to every nook and cranny. Was someone watching? Panic rose within him, a constricting band tightening around his chest. Then, there it was, the silhouette of a figure framed in the doorway. His heart slammed against his ribcage. Who was it? Was this the danger the old man had warned about? "Who's there?" he called, his voice steadier than he felt. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a face lined with experience and something else, a kind of intensity that sent shivers down his spine. "You're the one building the motorcycle, aren't you?" The stranger's voice was low, yet it cut through the tension like a hot knife through butter. "That's none of your business," he shot back, fueled by defiance. The stranger let out a dry chuckle, a sound that resonated against the walls. "It is my business, kid. You're out here messing with powers you don't understand. Building that bike is going to attract attention. Not the kind you want." His stomach twisted at the warning. Deep down, he knew he was playing with fire, but saying it out loud made it all too real. "I don't care about the attention," he responded defiantly. "I have to build it. I'm doing this for me." The shadow smirked, a hint of something dark in his expression. "You don't understand the world you're stepping into. People don't like it when someone like you rises from the ashes. They'll come for you." There was a pause, as if weighing his words. "But I can help you. I know how to make your dreams a reality." For a fleeting moment, temptation danced at the edges of desire. Help. It was a word that echoed with promise. But was it a trap? The boy felt the weight of a moral dilemma pressing on him. Accept help and risk losing himself? Or refuse and stand alone on shaky ground? The workshop suddenly felt smaller. His heart raced, caught between ambition and fear. Sweat trickled down his brow as he weighed the options, each one more perilous than the last. "Why would you help me?" he asked, suspicion creeping into his tone. "Because I've seen what you can do. You're a spark, don't let it fizzle out." The voice was calm, persuasive, a siren's call against an unforgiving tide. As he stared into the stranger's eyes, searching for truth, the silence grew heavy, each tick of the clock echoing louder. The decision loomed, and something inside him quivered with anticipation. Would he take the plunge into the unknown or keep swinging away at his scrap of dreams? In that moment, passion and fear clashed. Before he could respond, the workshop door creaked open again, and the shadows shifted. A group of men entered, their faces obscured by the dim light, their presence thick with intent. "Looks like you're in trouble now," the stranger whispered, a grin creeping across his face. And just like that, the boy's heart dropped. The darkness he feared had come to claim him. What would happen next? Would he lose everything? Or would he find a way to fight back? The stakes had never been higher. The intruders stepped forward, their intentions cloaked in menace. They moved with a purpose, eyes darting around the workshop, surveying the scattered tools and gleaming metal parts. Each step echoed with a kind of authority that sent a chill racing down the boy's spine. He clenched his fists, every nerve ending firing with adrenaline. "Looks like the kid's been busy," the tallest one sneered, crossing his arms over his broad chest. His demeanor suggested a lifetime spent brushing up against trouble, and now he was here to dish it out. "Let us see what our little mechanic has been up to." Another man jeered, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Playing with toys while the big boys are outside?" The boy's heart pounded in his ears, drowning out the sounds of their laughter. The stranger beside him stood still, calculating, like a hawk watching prey. A shiver crept up the boy's spine. Should he run? Hide? But where? This was his sanctuary, and he wouldn't let it become his tomb. "Stay back," he shouted, his voice cracking under the strain of fear. The men froze but didn't retreat. Instead, they shifted their attention to him, grinning as though his defiance was a joke. "You think you can intimidate us? You're just a kid." The leader stepped closer, inspecting a half-assembled engine. "You should know we own this neighborhood. All that tinkering isn't going to save you." The boy swallowed hard, the lump in his throat constricting. He couldn't let them take his dream away. "I'm not afraid of you," he said, but doubt crept into his voice. "Not afraid." The man laughed, dark and ringing. "You should be. You're messing with things you can't handle." That bike got our attention. And that means trouble. He leaned in closer, the scent of smoke and cheap cologne assaulting the boy's senses. We'll either take it or you'll pay the price. Back off, shouted the stranger, stepping forward, his intensity apparent. You want to threaten him? You're barking up the wrong tree. The leader turned, intrigued by the stranger who had appeared so suddenly in the boy's workshop. And who are you? Some kind of knight in shining armor? More like a shadow in the night, he replied, his presence somehow growing more powerful amid the confrontation. The boy felt a spark of hope blossoming inside him. This man might be the ally he needed, but could he trust him? He was just the boy working with scraps, a nobody in this fierce world. Yet, at this moment he had to believe. Let me show you what this kid can do. The stranger stepped closer to the men, challenging them with a steady gaze. Maybe he's not just some toy maker after all. What's the deal? The leader shot back, sensing the tension shifting. Let him finish his motorcycle, the stranger said, voice low and steady. If it impresses you, you take it. If not, maybe I'm the one you should be dealing with. The men exchanged glances, considering the proposal. The boy's breath quickened. Would they accept? Or would the standoff escalate into violence? I don't play for scraps, kid, the leader growled, his eyes narrowing. The bike better be something special. It will be, the boy said, a surge of confidence pushing through the fear. You'll see. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation. The boy felt the moment teetering on the edge, the fate of his dreams hanging by a thread. Meanwhile, the stranger appeared unbothered, an unwavering presence amidst chaos. Finish it if you can, the leader sneered before motioning his crew to back off slightly, leaving just enough space for a breath of hope. But as the dust settled, the boy knew this fight was just starting. Acceptance wasn't just about building. It was now about survival. His hands shook as he turned to the stranger. What now? The stranger's grin widened, a glint of ambition in his eyes. Now we get to work. Little did they know, shadows lingered beyond the workshop. Others were watching, waiting for the fragile thread of danger to snap. And when it did, the boy's world would change forever. Would he rise to meet the challenge or fall to the chaos surrounding him? The boy's heart raced as he glanced at the partially assembled motorcycle, its frame glinting ominously under the dim light of the workshop. He felt the weight of expectation pressing down on him like a heavy blanket. The men loomed just outside the circle of light, their sneers reinforced by the shadows that draped them in a sinister air. I need tools and time, the boy blurted, urgency creeping into his voice. If I'm going to impress them, I can't rush this. The stranger nodded, his eyes scanning the workshop as if assessing what they could use. We make every second count, then. Let us work. Without hesitation, the boy dove into the project, hands trembling but determination igniting a fire. He grabbed his tools, each one a comfort, a piece of the world he understood. The stranger began to assist, following the boy's lead but injecting fresh ideas, weaving a strange harmony into their effort. Manifold goes here, the boy instructed, feeling his confidence swell with each completed piece. Then we route the wires as they worked. The atmosphere in the shop thickened, charged with the anxiety of the looming decision. The unwelcome intruders leaned against the walls, mocking laughter occasionally escaping their lips, reminders of the stakes riding on this machine. It felt like every bolt they tightened sealed a small piece of their fate. A sudden clattering sound drew the boy's attention. His heart jolted as the stranger straightened, his eyes narrowing, listening intently. Did you hear that? The boy nodded, a rush of panic flooding him. The sound of footsteps nearby, heavy and deliberate, moved closer. We might not be alone. Before he could process it, the leader of the intruders stepped into the light, a swagger in his step that turned the boy's pulse to ice. What's taking so long? This is a business, not a playhouse. The boy felt the air electrify with tension. He exchanged a wary glance with the stranger, who seemed to grow even more imposing, every muscle in his frame coiled like a tiger ready to spring. Things are looking good, the boy managed to say, forcing an edge of bravado into his tone. We're almost there. The leader stepped closer, peering over the motorcycle as if trying to discern the truth in the boy's words. Almost, he echoed, incredulous. Kid, if it doesn't impress me in 10 minutes, both of you are going to wish you had never picked this fight. A bead of sweat trailed down the boy's forehead. Just give us a chance. I promise you won't regret it. Just as his reassurance escaped his lips, a loud crash sounded from outside the workshop. It shattered the tension like glass, drawing the intruder's attention instantly. What was that? The leader snapped, eyes darting toward the door. The boy seized the moment. Finish my bike, he shouted to the stranger, as he instinctively stepped forward, blocking their way with a surprising surge of courage. Are you nuts? The stranger retorted, hesitant but intrigued by the boy's defiance. I need you to trust me. The boy's voice cracked, but a spark blazed in his wide eyes. They're losing focus. If I can finish this while they're distracted suddenly. The workshop door burst open, revealing an unknown figure silhouetted against the residual daylight. Fear lanced through the boy and the stranger. This was no ordinary disruption. Get out of the way, the stranger shouted, preparing for confrontation. Trust me, the boy whispered again, clenching his fists as he faced the shifting tide of danger. Just trust me. As the new presence stepped inside, the boy realized this could either save them or bury them deeper in chaos. Could he really pull this off? Would the stranger have his back when it mattered most? The room hung suspended, teetering on the brink of the unknown, and all the boy felt was raw, electrifying fear. What would he do if the gamble failed? And then, the figure spoke, their voice causing the boy's heart to race once more. I'm here for the motorcycle. The weight of destiny pressed against him. Would it bring salvation or destruction? The possibilities unraveled, leaving him, wondering how far he was willing to go to protect his dreams. The boy's breath hitched in his throat as the stranger stepped forward, eyes narrowing on the new figure. The tension crackled like a live wire, drawing everyone closer to the edge. What do you mean you're here for the motorcycle? The stranger barked, fists clenched, muscles tense. The boy felt like he was caught between thunder and a storm. I need it for a race, the figure replied, voice steady but laced with an urgency that mirrored the boy's own racing heartbeat. You don't understand what's at stake. Now's not the time for games. The leader of the intruders hissed, his sneer growing. That bike is ours and you're not getting anywhere near it. Panic clawed at the boy's chest. He shot a glance at the motorcycle, every wrench turn and polished chrome a piece of his soul. Would it be ripped away just when it was almost complete? He shuddered at the thought. The figure shifted, narrowing their eyes at the leader. I don't think you want to make an enemy today. The challenge hung thick in the air, and for a moment, time seemed frozen. The intruders exchanged uncomfortable glances, their bravado wavering. The boy seized the moment. Wait, if the motorcycle is so important to you, he said, eyes locked on the stranger, then help me finish it. We can prove it's worth more than just a piece of scrap to them. The figure's face flickered with uncertainty, but a spark ignited in their gaze. They stepped nearer, lowering their voice. You finish that bike, and I'll make sure you get a shot at that race. Let us hope it's fast enough. The boy breathed, desperation cracking through the mask of bravado. Because we're about to find out how much we can handle. Finish what you started, the stranger urged, the edge of determination cutting through the tension. With renewed energy, the boy returned his focus to the motorcycle. He felt the tools fall seamlessly into his hands, his fingers flying as adrenaline surged. Each bolt tightened held the weight of their futures. He could feel the specter of the men still lurking close, but each ounce of doubt was countered by a sense of purpose, sharpening his focus like the bite of cold air in a race. Suddenly, a shout pierced through the workshop. What are you waiting for? The leader roared, edging towards them, anger dripping from his words. Hurry up before I change my mind. The boy met the stranger's eyes, his heart pounding in rhythm with the urgency surrounding them. We can do this, he whispered, confidence gradually strengthening in his voice. Let us make it perfect. They worked feverishly, the sound of metal clanging against metal ringing in the air like an anthem of defiance. The intruders were still there, shadows watching threateningly. But now there was a sense that, just maybe, they could turn the tide with moments to spare. The boy fitted the final piece into place. He stepped back, breathing hard, sweat running down his brow. The motorcycle gleamed at him, a testament of hope carved from chaos. "Time us up," the leader growled, stepping into the light, fingers twitching as if ready to unleash fury. But before he could take action, the newcomer spoke with a low confidence. "Let us show them what this machine can really do." As the intruders shifted uneasily, the boy felt something in him crack wide open. His fear mingled with exhilaration as he glanced at the machine. "Are we really doing this?" he asked, nerves thrumming along his spine. The figure nodded, eyes filled with intensity. "If you're with me, this motorcycle becomes our lifeline. We ride or we die trying." The boy clenched his fists, adrenaline surging. "Let us ride." The noise of the men faded into a distant roar as he gripped the handlebars, feeling the engine vibrate beneath him. Was this finally their chance at freedom? But as the bike roared to life, a chilling realization hit him. The real race was just beginning. Outside, the streets lay drenched in uncertainty, and somewhere in the distance, the racing engines roared, calling him into the unknown. Could he outrun their threats, or would the darkness swallow them whole? The engine growled like a beast awakened from a slumber, its low rumble vibrating under the boy's fingers. He felt every pulse, every thud of racing power surging alive. But there was no time to revel. The leader's sneer turned into an expression of fury, and the gang behind him moved as one, ready to strike. "Get them!" the leader shouted, his voice slicing through the air like a knife. The threat hung over them like a storm cloud, and fear seeped into the boy's bones. "Hold on!" the stranger yelled, positioning themselves near the rear. The boy wasted no time. He twisted the throttle, feeling the bike leap forward, tires screeching against the concrete in a desperate dash for freedom. The roar of the engine echoed through the alley, and the boy's heart raced faster than the wheels. But behind him the chaos erupted. Shouts filled the air, drowning in the low thrum of fury as the gang surged forward. "Watch it!" The stranger ducked just as one of the intruders lunged for them, missing by mere inches. The boy tightened his grip, adrenaline chasing fear away as they blurred through narrow streets, weaving in and out of the sporadic traffic. "We have to get to the highway," the stranger shouted, voice barely making it over the cacophony. With a glance back, the boy saw the intruders gaining, pushing through with reckless abandon. Anger fueled their pursuit, and he felt the weight of his world pressed hard against his chest. Would they make it? "Focus," the stranger urged, pulling him back to the moment. "Just ride." He nodded, assembling his thoughts. But the street opened up ahead, revealing a stretch of asphalt, the highway, wide and daunting. They could fly at full speed, leaving the chaos behind, but there was a danger that loomed within that freedom. "Now!" he yelled, pushing the bike harder. The engine shrieked in affirmation, propelling both of them into the expanse. The world blurred around them. Colors melted into streaks of light, a kaleidoscope of adrenaline and fear. Suddenly, a piercing shout echoed from behind. "Stop! You can't outrun us!" It was the leader, driven by pure rage, his voice like thunder tearing through the air. The boy's heart stuttered. The reality was sobering. They were being hunted. But the bike surged, their lifeline. Every twist of the throttle felt like a lifeline pulling them away from danger. They were cutting through the wind, power resonating within them. "That's it. Keep going," the stranger encouraged, their confidence fueling the boy's courage. But ahead, he could see more headlights emerging, a blockade, perhaps, a trap waiting at the highway's end. Not again. He felt a surge of panic. Would they end up cornered? The stranger's gaze flickered to the unfolding scene, tense lines etching their face. "We need a plan. Can you make it?" Before they could finish, a blinding burst of light flooded the horizon, and a luxury car, a sleek Predator, crashed into view, shifting dangerously into their lane. The boy swerved, narrowly avoiding collision, heart pounding wildly. In that instant he made a decision. Back roads. We go through the alleys. He yelled, instinct taking over as he veered off the highway, tires shrieking in protest as they dove into a narrow passageway, the world tightening around them. But shadows loomed ominously near, and as they raced deeper into the maze of streets, the boy caught a glimpse of something chilling. Flickering lights from a hidden point revealed an unfinished concrete underpass, a desolation that whispered secrets of danger. Where are we heading? The stranger questioned, apprehension creeping into their voice. We're going to have to risk it. Trust me. The boy shouted back, feeling the thrill dance on the edge of terror. Yet the darkness behind them surged, hunted and hungry, as they barreled towards the unknown. The chase wouldn't end here. The shadows were relentless, and he had a choice to make. Would he face the risks head-on, or would the shadows consume him? The boy inhaled deeply, the scent of fear and fuel intermingling. It was time to pit courage against darkness. But what awaited on the other side could change everything. The underpass loomed before them, a gaping mouth of concrete and darkness that seemed to swallow the faint light filtering in. The boy's heart pounded, echoing in rhythm with the thumping of the motorcycle beneath him. He felt the stranger grip him tighter, their body tensing as they entered the shadows where sunlight dared not tread. Don't stop. Keep going. The stranger shouted over the howl of the wind, lending power to his plea. With a surge of energy, the boy leaned into the throttle, feeling the bike respond, thrusting them deeper into the murky gloom. The oppressive darkness enveloped them, and for a heartbeat, he wondered if coming here had been the right choice. Behind them, the shouts of the gang were now muffled, swallowed by the thick walls of the underground tunnel. Here, the chaos of the pursuit dropped away, replaced by an eerie silence. It felt almost serene, but the boy knew that was a dangerous illusion. As they cut through the underpass, the boy could hear the gravel crunching beneath the tires, a sound that cut through the uncertainty like a knife. They sped past flickering fluorescent lights that buzzed and crackled, illuminating patches of debris scattered along the ground. What if they followed us? The stranger asked, their voice tinged with fear. We can't just hide out forever. The boy's mind raced. We can't just drop the bike. We need it to get away. We have to find a way out. He strained his eyes, searching for any sign of an exit. The walls felt like they were closing in as he recalled the menacing figures trailing behind them. In that moment, a glimmer caught his attention, a faint light, barely visible, at the far end of the tunnel. Hope dashed through him, igniting his resolve. There, let us go. They barreled toward the light, adrenaline surging, the motorcyclist's engine roaring defiantly against the gloom. But as they closed in, another sound broke the silence, a crackling commotion. Someone was at the far end, obscured by shadows. Slow down, the stranger urged, but it was too late. The boy squeezed the brake, the rear tire skidding, nearly sending them toppling as they came to a halt. The light revealed figures gathered near the exit, illuminated by the glow of a makeshift fire. They looked up, eyes narrowing with curiosity and suspicion. What do we do now? The stranger hissed, looking back nervously as he gripped the handlebars tightly. The boy scanned the unfamiliar group, his heart sinking. Surely, they hadn't found refuge only to stumble into another trap. Sweat dripped down his brow as the figures approached, heavy-set men with glinting eyes, their intentions unreadable. Not far behind you, eh? One grinned, a menacing smile creeping across his face. Looks like you're in trouble, kids. Need some help? The question hung in the air like poison. The boy felt the weight of the stranger's gaze on him, sharp as a knife. We don't know you, he replied cautiously. True, but we're the only ones between you and those guys you ran from. The man leaned forward, and the air thickened with the scent of smoke and something off. What's it gonna be? Another man shouted, stepping out of the shadows, hands planted firmly on his hips. In one split second, the boy had to decide. Trust these strangers with their dubious offer of safety, or risk the wrath of the gang still hunting them. Just then, a roar echoed from the entrance of the tunnel, a flash of headlights and a thunder of revving engines. They're right behind us, The boy's pulse raced again. There was no time to waste and no backing out. With a swift decision, he turned to the stranger. "We run or fight, now." But as soon as the words left his mouth, a bolt of fear tightened in his chest. Could he lead them away yet again? What lay ahead could save or destroy them all. Would this new threat be their salvation, or lead them deeper into the dark? The metallic tang of desperation filled the air as the boy clutched the handlebars tightly. The gang behind them was closing in fast. He could hear the ominous thundering of their engines like an approaching storm. Panic surged through him, drowning out rational thought. "Let us go," he shouted, not waiting for the stranger's response. He twisted the throttle wildly, the motorcycle lurching forward as the heavy-set figures at the fire watched, their faces momentarily illuminated by the flickering flames. "Wait," one of the men yelled, but the boy didn't look back. The tunnel's walls loomed closer, feeling claustrophobic as they sped down the narrow corridor. Each bump sent jolts through his body, yet he felt an odd sense of liberation, the wind whipping past them like a release from chains. The stranger's grip tightened, and he felt the fear radiating from them. "What if they're tricking us?" they asked, their voice tense. "What if we just charged into another trap?" "There's no choice," the boy shouted back, urgency spilling from his words as the sound of engines roared behind them, gaining ground. "They'll catch us if we don't move now." Up ahead, the faint light that had once promised hope began to flicker ominously. He forced himself to focus, knowing he had to guide them out of this nightmare. But just as they approached the exit, something shifted. The figures who had appeared harmless earlier were now converging in on them, blocking the path. "Turn around, kids," one of them laughed, the sound harsh and mocking. "You think you can outrun us here?" The boy's heart raced anew, feeling the threat of confrontation rise in his throat. They would be trapped, caught between the gang behind them and these strangers ahead. Just then, a loud crash echoed against the walls of the tunnel, and the boy caught a glimpse of headlights that cut through the darkness, illuminating faces twisted in aggression. The gang had arrived. "Now what?" the stranger shouted, panic seeping into their voice. "Back," he yelled, swinging the bike around, ready to retreat. But there was nowhere to go. The tunnel was a trap closing in. He had to think fast. "Over there." The stranger pointed to a narrow side passage almost hidden in shadows, just off the main tunnel. "Are you insane?" he snapped, fear twisting his stomach. "Could be even worse. Better than staying here." With no other option, the boy veered toward the side passage, his heart pounding against his ribcage. As they entered, the darkness thickened, and the air grew heavier. The crunch of gravel turned to silence, the haunting quiet pressing down on them like a weight. The side passage narrowed sharply. Only a sliver of light flickered at the end like a pinhole to another world. "Keep going," the stranger urged, their voice barely above a whisper. They sped further into the dark, the only sounds now their breathless gasps and the low rumble of their bike. With every second that ticked by, the threat of the gang chasing them seemed to fade, but unease replaced the chaos, a tension that buzzed like static electricity. "Where's this going?" he asked, trying to banish the sense of dread creeping in. "I don't know," the stranger admitted, fear lacing their words. Just trust me." He gritted his teeth, attempting to suppress the rising anxiety. He didn't want to trust anyone, not now. But he pressed on, the light at the end of the tunnel beckoning like a distant promise of safety. The bike surged forward, and just as he thought they might emerge unscathed, a loud shout echoed back through the narrow corridor, filled with the threats of men who wouldn't let them slip away this time. Cut them off. Adrenaline pumped through his veins. The exit loomed closer. But what would await them outside? Would it be freedom, or an even bigger trap waiting to snap shut? He took a deep breath, the weight of the moment resting heavily on his shoulders. Could they survive this? Would they escape what hunted them, or would they be caught in a snare from which there was no escape? Everything teetered in the balance. As he pushed through the passage, the boy knew this was just the beginning of something far darker than he could have ever imagined. The light ahead flickered violently like a dying star, a stark contrast to the suffocating darkness surrounding them. The boy clenched his jaw, fighting the rising tide of fear. No going back now. They were in too deep. Faster, the stranger urged, their voice cracking. He twisted the throttle, the bike roaring with newfound urgency. The exit was so close, yet the shadows around them felt suffocating. With every bump and turn, the motorcycle fought against him, but he pushed harder, straining to reach that sliver of light. But the crunch of gravel beneath their wheels was soon replaced by the frantic sound of footsteps echoing from behind. They were coming. The gang was right on their heels. "Keep it steady," the boy shouted, glancing back. A handful of the gang members had followed them, shoving forward with violent determination. Faces twisted in rage, eyes blazing dangerous with thrill. "We'll never make it," the stranger cried, panic rising like bile. "Don't say that." He couldn't afford to let fear take root. They were mere feet away from the exit now, but it felt like miles, each heartbeat dragging them deeper into the dark abyss of dread. In a reckless surge of adrenaline, the boy felt the weight of desperation push him forward. He leaned into the handlebars, pouring every ounce of strength into the bike. The light grew brighter, almost blinding against the shadowy veil behind them. Suddenly, the bike jolted as it hit a small rock. He swerved, correcting instinctively, but the impact had cost them precious momentum. "Come on, come on," he urged the machine, his heart pounding loudly in his ears. Then, as if the universe answered, they burst through the opening into a wild, sunlit world. But instead of relief, his heart dropped. What lay before them was a sheer drop into an abandoned quarry, steep edges crumbling into muddy depths below. There was no easy way out, just walls of debris rising like cliffs. "No, no," the stranger shouted, realizing the trap they had stumbled into. Behind them, the gang's roaring engines echoed, drowning out the boy's racing thoughts. There was nowhere to hide, nothing to block the violence that was about to unleash itself. "Back, we have to go back," the boy shouted as fear twisted his chest again. Yet a flicker of defiance sparked within him. The motorcycle had to survive. They had to survive. "Wait," the stranger grasped his arm tightly. "Look, over there." In the chaos, he spotted a rusted old vehicle, a beaten-up pickup truck half submerged in mud. It struck him as an odd choice, but any hope was better than none. "Go," he yelled, directing the bike towards it. They sped across the uneven ground, bouncing and jolting as memories of the gang's threats echoed behind them, adrenaline pushing them forward like a freight train. Just as they reached the truck, the ground shook violently. Panic surged through him, and he slammed the bike to a halt. "What now?" the stranger gasped, eyes wide with terror. Just then, a shout erupted behind them. "Get them!" The boy's instincts screamed at him. It was do or die. "In the truck," he barked. The stranger hesitated, but the urgency in his voice forced them into action as they scrambled toward the vehicle. The rumble of pursuit made their hearts pound louder. They dove in, fingers trembling as they fumbled with the rusty door latched. It creaked open, revealing a void of uncertainty. As they pulled themselves inside, the boy's mind raced with thoughts of the approach creeping nearer. What awaited them next? Would this abandoned truck be their fortress, or their tomb? With the sound of the gang's engines closing in, he felt the air thicken with anxiety. Could they turn this forgotten relic into a lifeline? And what was that rumble growing from deep within the quarry itself? They were far from safe. The real nightmare was only just beginning, and he had no clue what horrors lurked beyond that crumbling edge. What if this was just a prelude to something even darker? With hesitation dripping thick in the air, the boy gripped the steering wheel, feeling destiny close in tighter. Everything hinged on one chance. Would they escape with their lives, or descend further into the abyss? The boy's fingers trembled as he gripped the steering wheel of the rusted old truck, heart racing furiously against his ribcage. The sound of the gang's engines screeching closer ignited a surge of desperation within him. "We have to start it," he shouted, voice strained as he fumbled with the ignition. A glance outside revealed shadows moving swiftly, their silhouettes stalking closer, hungry for revenge. "Try it," the stranger urging him with a wild gaze. He turned the key, praying the ancient machine would respond. A reluctant cough sputtered from the engine. Then another. Time stretched, pressure building. Come on. Come on. The gang's laughter echoed, chilling his bones. Just as despair threatened to swallow him whole, the engine roared to life. Relief washed over him, but it was short-lived. The sound of boots hit the ground, heavy and determined. Go! The stranger yelled, shoving down on the accelerator. The truck jolted forward, tires spinning unevenly against the mud. They lurched to the edge of the cliff, perilously close to slipping into the darkness below. Keep it steady, he begged himself, gripping the wheel tighter. Ahead loomed the twisted trees of the quarry, their gnarled trunks offering a potential escape route. We need to get into the woods. The gang closed in, their growls echoing through the air. A relentless pack of wolves. Just as the boy turned toward the edge of the trees, a sharp crack shot through the air, and a massive figure lunged into view. It was the gang leader. You think you can run from us? You're dead. Fear surged through him as he swerved to avoid the threat, sending the truck into a wild spin. He fought to regain control, the tires screeching in protest. The world blurred around them, a violent whirlwind of adrenaline and chaos. Steady. Find your focus, the stranger shouted, voice a grounding force against the storm. Heart pounding, he focused on the trees, then pushed the pedal down harder, the truck barreling forward. They pierced through the brush, branches snapping and clinging onto the metal as they dove deeper into the forest. The echoes of rage behind them morphed into furious roars, but a primal instinct drove him onward. Freedom awaited. They were close, then, as if by fate, they broke free into a clearing, the morning sun flooding their vision. Mosquitoes buzzed around them, but the light promised safety. He could see the distant road beyond. There, that's the way, he yelled, pointing at a path leading out of the woods. The stranger steadied their breath. We can make it. Just keep going. He navigated through the trees, the truck bounding and jolting until finally, they surged onto the open road, wheels squealing against the pavement. But as hope bloomed, the sight that awaited them twisted his stomach into knots. The gang, relentless, had blocked off their path ahead. No, they both shouted in unison, panic flickering like candlelight. Back, the boy screamed, desperate. He yanked the wheel to turn back, but too late. The gang emerged, surrounding them like a storm. Adrenaline clawed at the boy's chest. Would this be where their fight ended? Step out, the leader commanded, fury etched on his features, fingers twitching on his weapon. The boy's heart sank. But then, adrenaline surged. This was his moment to fight back. Listen, he shouted, his voice stronger than he felt. You don't own me. You think you can snuff out my dreams? You're wrong. The words poured out, raw determination backing him. Just a kid, the leader spat, but doubt flickered in his eyes. What makes you think you stand a chance? Because I already made it this far. A spark ignited deep within him, igniting the remnants of his fears. Go on, take your best shot. His eyes flickered defiantly, challenging the man in the face of chaos surrounding him. Laughter echoed, but it was shaky now, unsure. The gang saw the desperation. They could sense it. Brave decisions often led to unexpected outcomes. Just then, he felt the stranger's hand on his shoulder. You've got this. Suddenly, the world around him blurred. The past crashed against the present. He saw not only a fight for survival but the culmination of his hopes tangled with every twist and turn. He could build and create. He had proven it time and again, and now he had to show that he wouldn't be defeated by fear or hatred. Fingers clenched on the wheel, he turned off the engine and stepped out of the truck, determination pushing him forward. Everything was on the line now, his past, his future, the legacy he dreamed of building. You're nothing without your petty power, he shouted, fury rising, refusing to back down. For a moment silence reigned. The gang exchanged glances. Doubt. It was finally their cracking their bravado. What's it gonna be? Kids? The leader hesitated, eyeing the truck. You can't think that toy can outrun us. With a breath, the boy stepped up. This isn't just a toy. It's a dream. I've worked too hard, fought too long. This isn't over yet. He could feel the tension, the air charged with anticipation. Would they back off? Would they see that dreams couldn't be crushed so easily? Would he finally have a chance to claim his future? The leader snickered but took a step back, glancing at his crew, uncertainty creeping into their ranks. One by one, they seemed to falter. Just as hope began to bloom, the ground shook beneath them, drowning out the murmur of doubts a fleeting moment before a surge erupted from the surroundings. The boy turned just in time to see shadows converging in the distance. It was the old man, the one whose warnings had haunted him. "You wanted to break free?" he called, the voice echoing with weight. "Then take it." The boy's heart raced, fueled by the old man's conviction. "What if we unite?" shouted the boy suddenly. "Show them how to build something bigger than all this anger." The gang hesitated. They felt it too, the possibility lurking between rage and unity. The leader snarled, "You think you can play peacemaker? You're just a kid." But the boy stood tall. "Exactly. I'm just a kid with a vision that can't be snuffed out." And in that moment, something shifted. The gang exchanged uncertain glances, the shadows of doubt finally gaining ground against hostility. "Let us show them what can be built from struggle," he shouted, heart racing, and the old man stepped forward. The moment hung there like bare threads waiting to be woven into a new tapestry. Slowly, the atmosphere shifted. The leader stepped back, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Defiance filled the air. With that, the boy took a breath, feeling the energy swell. They could create instead of destroy. Wasn't that what dreamers truly did? He locked eyes with the stranger, a sense of purpose finally uniting them. This was the moment. Not just for survival but for a legacy. The battle against despair and greed had forged something new, something that could build a bridge to understanding. As the echoes of possibility resonated, the sun broke through the clouds. The boy felt the warmth wash over him. He finally knew. Those abandoned dreams had taken root. This wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. Now it's your turn. If you found inspiration in this story, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive tales that await. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more dreamers, just like you, and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Tell us what inspired you. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see what happens next. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Your journey continues, so come along for the ride.